Hello YouTube, RJ. In our previous video, we designed a broadcast filter to blank out the broadcast stations and the lower frequencies below the ham bands for our HF receiver and transmitter that we'll be building. Today it's time to create that circuit and compare it to the design that we came up with. Now here you see the LT Spice circuit diagram that we created in our last episode. And so now I'm going to show the performance that LT Spice expected from it. Now I'm going to show that same circuit in LC and the performance that it expected. As we noted in the last video, there's quite a difference in the performance of these two simulators. So now it's time to build this circuit and find out which one of these were closer and just how good is the filter we built. Okay, just a short time in dip trace, I was able to lay out this board. It's pretty straightforward, as you can see. We're going to use some surface mount capacitors to keep the size down, and also inductive parasitics and capacitive parasitics down as much as possible. And you can see L1, L2, and L3 are just going to look basically like a resistor going in. That's basically what they're going to be. The coax cables will solder straight down. Shield will go to ground, and of course the center core goes to RF, and then you're done. So this is the board. Got a couple mounting holes on there. That's the whole thing. Okay, through the miracle of editing, we've got our circuit board made. I sent it out to PCBWay and had them make a few boards for me. Turned out very nice, as usual with them. They do a good job. I'm not sponsored or anything. It's just who I use. So we're going to build this thing now. So I'm going to put a little solder on one of each of the surface mount capacitors, one pad of each one. And that's how I like to solder these things. So now the hard part, getting them out. This can often be somewhat of a challenge. You know, I work with my tweezers, but I'll be honest, depending on the particular package, sometimes it's not bad at all. Sometimes it can be a lot of fun. So, well, these came out pretty easily, so not too bad. So I'm going to apologize now that the way I had my camera position, I didn't realize, but I was getting my head in the shot a lot. So I'll try to edit as much as I can, but unfortunately you're going to see the top of my head from time to time, so I'll apologize now for that. Please bear with me on it. So we got our soldering iron tinned and cleaned here, and there's my head, and we're going to take and place one of the surface mount resistors down in position, and then I'm just going to literally heat up and solder one side. Now one of the problems with this is you really don't have any flux because you've cooked it off your tip, so it's not a great solder joint, but all you're doing is mechanically locking this thing down, get it to sit where you want it. Because the next thing you'll see me do is grab some solder, and I'm going to solder the other side, and then I'm going to resolder the first side by applying just a little bit of solder so we get a little flux in there, and that'll fix the lack of flux. So there's my lovely head. So we're just going to continue on and solder these things down, and I'm going to do a little skipping around. I don't intend to make you sit through the whole build at normal speed, so I might speed it up, I might jump ahead a little, but we'll kind of speed this through. I value your time. I don't want to waste it just repeatedly doing the same things over and over and making you watch. But as you know, it's a simple board. It's a couple of capacitors and 3 inductors. And if you see them above my left hand there, you can see they just look like resistors. They're dipped inductors. You don't see them used a lot in RF circuits that we work with. Typically you're gonna have a torad with, and you could use a toroid and actually wrap you an inductor here, but the size of these inductors lends it to the right sizing to commonly use these things, and it makes build so easy and so quick. You know, they don't cost much. You plop them in, you're done. You don't have to wind, you don't have to, you know, cuke dope them and let them dry, and you know, they also are going to be larger. So this keeps the board nice and small, doesn't have any negative impact whatsoever, and you're going to find that this is going to work very well for us. Okay, I'm touching up the original joints with a little fresh solder and flux. There's flux in the solder. So as soon as I add just a little bit, I'm also adding a little flux that makes your solder flow becomes, it's pretty grainy looking because it had no flux before. But, we just used it to hold it in place while we soldered the other side. Now we're touching up and actually making our joint. You can see when you do this, you can see the joint becomes shiny and smooth. And, you're fixing that crusty, nasty looking joint that the solder with no flux did to you. Now I've added a little solder to the connectors for the coax coming in and out. Now in a little bit we're going to test this. We're just going to hook some wires. We're not going to use coax. We're going to hook little short wires where we can clip onto some leads to the spectrum analyzer so we can take a look. But here's our inductors. Just like putting a resistor in. Looks like a resistor for the most part. And we're just going to drop 3 of these in through hole, flip over the board, and solder them in. They're inductors, so there's no polarity to them, so you don't have to worry about which way you put them in. I try to sometimes be careful and put the markings the same way, just for the aesthetic of it, to make it look better. Just like putting the surface mount parts on and putting the markings up and in the same direction. So now we've got them in, we're just going to solder these 3 components on. This is going to take just a moment for me to do. Okay, we've got that done. I've soldered them in, I've clipped them off. You probably noticed that the solder smoke was being pulled up by my extraction fume clear, extraction filter, sorry. You're not hearing it, and the reason is I'm voice-overing this, and the reason I'm doing that is for that very reason. I don't like to breathe this stuff, and I like to use my extraction fan whenever I can, but the noise, it really adds a background. It's not horrible, it's not that loud, but it adds a lot of background noise that's distracting to the audio. So in the cases where I'm using something that's generating a lot of noise like that, I tend to voice over to try to make it more pleasing for my audience so they don't have to listen to it. So hopefully that's that's a positive thing for you, that you don't have to listen to my exhaust fan running in the background. So basically I'm just going to make up a couple wires here. We're going to solder them onto the board in place of the ground and signal connection on both sides of the filter so that we can hook it up to the, I'll kind of jump ahead here and get these on and soldered. Nothing interesting to watch there. Okay, with that we have the cables all connected, wires all connected to the filter. We're ready to hook this up to the spectrum analyzer and see how it performs compared to what we believed out of LT Spice, what we expected to get. So I'm hoping to see less insertion loss than we were seeing, and at least as good a performance. So we'll hook it up, although I'm going to figure out in a second I haven't normalized this spectrum analyzer yet. So as you see me, I'm connecting the ends together. We're going to normalize to take out any effects of the cables, similar to calibrating your nano VNA. Normalize as it zeroes it out across the spectrum through the cable, so the cables become not part of your measurement. Now I'm hooking it up to the filter, and I will need to start setting up the parameters that I want to measure on the spectrum analyzer. This will take just a couple minutes, a minute or two, so I'm going to jump over and to when I've got it all calibrated, all the settings set up correctly for the measurement we want. I'll be right back. Okay, and with that, I've got my measurements here. I'm going to get a screen capture so I can show you how it came out. Okay, so here's our results. Left side is the Rigel spectrum analyzer, and the right side is the LT Spice prediction. And right off the bat, the first thing we notice is our insertion loss in the real device is much less than it was predicted by LT Spice. I've kind of noticed that over the years playing with it, that LT Spice tends to overestimate insertion loss. In fact, it's quite dramatic. If you notice here, the top line on the right is -5. So, I mean, this thing's predicting something like -8 dB loss at 2 megahertz. And here at 2 megahertz, we're maybe 2.5 dB loss. And the reality is, on the real device, if you go back to 3.5 megahertz, which I couldn't fit everything on the screen, but 3.5 megahertz, you actually get down to about a dB loss, which is very good insertion loss on a filter. And you also notice that on the prediction, we were predicting a little bit less than 60 dB at 1 megahertz, but we actually got about 83, minus 83 dB, some pretty good filtering. This is going to work very, very well for us. So I think this will be a great module to start our radio with. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something from it. Hope you'll follow me along on this quest to build a radio. Hope to see you back on the channel again. If you're interested in the content I'm making, please subscribe to the channel, and thank you for coming. Hope to see you on the next video.